It was a Tuesday, 2:14 p.m. I was sitting in my cubicle under the hum of fluorescent lights, staring at a spreadsheet filled with numbers that meant nothing to me. My chest felt tight. I looked out the window at the gray sky and realized my entire life was a series of boxes. The box of my cubicle, the box of my car stuck in traffic, the box of my apartment where I'd crash before doing it all over again. I was trading the best hours of my day, the best years of my life, for a paycheck that just barely paid to keep me in those boxes. That day, I didn't have a business plan or a rich uncle. I didn't have a revolutionary idea. But I made a decision. My paycheck wasn't going to be a chain anymore. It was going to be the key. Part 1, the trap that keeps you broke, even with a bigger paycheck. My first thought was probably the same as yours. I need to make more money. I spent months going down rabbit holes looking into dropshipping, affiliate marketing, freelance writing, all of it. But I was exhausted. After an 8-hour day of corporate drudgery, the last thing I had energy for was building a business from scratch. The real breakthrough, the moment the path finally lit up, came when I realized the problem wasn't the size of my income. It was where it was going. The real enemy had a name: lifestyle inflation. It's the silent killer of freedom. You get a raise, you get a nicer apartment, you get a bonus, you get a newer car, your income goes up, but your level of freedom stays exactly the same. You're just upgrading the quality of your cage. I decided to stop trying to build a new source of income and instead treat my existing paycheck like a raw material. Part 2, why I gave myself a smaller paycheck on purpose. To do this, I had to remove myself from the equation. I knew my willpower was weak. I'd choose instant gratification over long-term freedom every single time if I gave myself the chance. So I built a system, a fortress, around my savings that ran on autopilot. It was aggressive and non-negotiable. The moment my paycheck hit my checking account, a series of automated transfers would execute without my permission. My take-home pay at the time was around $4,000 a month. The instant it arrived on the honest of the month, the system would strike. First, $2,000 was automatically ripped out and sent to my investment account, untouchable. Next, $1,500 was transferred to a completely separate, boring checking account at a different bank. This was my bill-paying account for my rent, utilities, and other fixed costs. What was I left with? A meager $500 in my main checking account. That was it. That had to cover groceries, gas, entertainment, everything, for the entire month. I forced myself to live on the remainder, not save what was left over. This created a powerful sense of intentional scarcity. I couldn't mindlessly buy a $10 sandwich or subscribe to another streaming service because the money simply wasn't there. The system made the hard choices for me, automatically. Part 3. The 3 cuts that bought back my freedom. A system is useless if there's no money to feed it. Saving 50% of my income meant I had to perform financial surgery on my life. I didn't look for small wins, I went straight for the jugular. I ambushed the big 3 expenses that hold most people captive: housing, transportation, and food. First, housing. I was paying $1,800 a month for a trendy, modern one-bedroom apartment that was impressive to friends, but was actively stealing my future. I broke my lease. I moved into a less glamorous but perfectly safe 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate, and my share of the rent dropped to $900. That one decision freed up $900 in cash every single month. That wasn't a sacrifice, it was a strategic acquisition of $10,800 a year. Next, transportation. I owned a car I loved with a $450 monthly payment. I sold it. It was painful for about a week. Then I bought a 5-year-old, reliable Honda Civic with cash I had saved. My car payment went to $0. My insurance premium was cut in half. This single move saved me over $6,000 a year. Friends saw it as a downgrade. I saw it as buying back months of my life. Finally, food. I was spending a fortune on convenience, buying lunch at work for $15, ordering takeout when I was tired. I stopped all of it. I started meal prepping every Sunday for the entire week. My grocery bill went up, but my total food spending was slashed by over $300 a month. Part 4, how I made my money start working overtime. All that money I was saving couldn't just sit in a bank account, losing value to inflation. It had to be put to work. It had to be sent out into the world to have its own career, so one day I could end mine. I didn't try to pick hot stocks or time the market. I wasn't a genius trader, and I had a full-time job to worry about. The strategy had to be simple and passive. So, 100% of the money my system transferred to my investment account went into one thing: a low-cost, broad market index fund. Specifically, a total stock market fund that bought me a tiny piece of thousands of companies across the entire US economy. This was the most critical mindset shift of my entire journey. I was moving from being a worker to being an owner. Every dollar I invested bought me a microscopic share of corporate America. My money was now attending board meetings, launching new products, and generating profits, all while I was sitting in my cubicle pretending to work. For the first few years, the progress felt agonizingly slow. But then, the magic of compound interest began to awaken. I'll never forget the year I checked my portfolio and realized that the money my investments had earned, all on their own, was more than the money I had actively saved that year. My money was now outworking me. The escape was no longer a dream, it was an inevitability. Part 5. What freedom really felt like that first morning. My last day of work wasn't a big party. There was no grand exit. It was quiet. The next Monday, I woke up at the same time, around 6:30 a.m., out of habit. But instead of the familiar dread, there was silence. I put on my shoes and, instead of driving into rush hour traffic, I went for a hike. The quiet among the trees was deafening. The reality of this new life is different from what most people imagine. It's not about an endless vacation or sitting on a beach drinking margaritas. It's the freedom to work on a personal project you actually care about, not because you need the money, but simply because it brings you joy. I didn't escape work. I escaped work I disliked. Part 6. The one small move that changes everything. You can start this today, right now. You don't need to have it all figured out. Log into your bank account and look at the number from your last paycheck. Before you spend another dollar of it, decide on a percentage, even if it's just 1% to start, that you will pay to your future self. Then, open another tab and set up an automated, recurring transfer to move that percentage from your checking account to a separate savings or investment account the day after every future paycheck arrives. If you've made it this far, I've got a powerful Escape the 9 to 5 action guide just for you, and it's completely free. This guide breaks down the exact steps I took to build income streams from scratch, mistakes that keep people stuck in jobs they hate, and a checklist to kickstart your own escape plan. Just comment "Escape Guide" on this video, and once we hit 50 comments, I'll drop the download link for everyone. Escaping the 9 to 5 felt like the ultimate win, until I learned what retiring at 35 really cost me. In my next video, I'll reveal why it was the worst thing that ever happened. Tap it now before you make the same mistake.